Ann Walsh, her voice is light, smooth, and eloquent, and the beauty of it all flows in the sweet melodies adorned on her latest album, The Astrud Project. The 11-track recording on the A to Zink label dropped in July 2022 and is still wowing fans across the globe enjoying the sounds from streaming to jazz radio. The album is dedicated to the works of Brazilian jazz singer Astrud, in which Ann bellows lyrics in both English and Gilberto's native language, Portuguese. Produced and orchestrated by Grammy-nominated arranger and her husband, Tom Zink, this fine collection of songs is astounding with its artistry and profound grace. Please welcome Ann Walsh and Tom Zink.
And thank you so much, Ann Walsh and Tom Zink, for joining us. I really appreciate you taking your time out to talk to SmoothJazzTimes.com. How are you doing today?
Doing pretty well.
Doing well.
Nice
Pleasure to be
Sunday.
here. Thank you for having us.
And this has a special meaning, a special dedication. Tell me a little bit about that, Ann.
Well, when Tom and I first got together, we were doing different things, but he was always encouraging me to get into the bossa nova because of my voice, the type of voice. It lends itself to that genre. So this is our fourth project, and we weren't sure what we were going to do, and we kept finding these gems that had been recorded by Astrud. So we just thought, well, let's just do an Astrud project.
Yeah. And for people that, some people recognize that name, some people don't. Astrud is the girl that made the Girl from Ipanema famous. And so she's kind of the Girl from Ipanema, although she's not the one in the song, but
No.
she became just this worldwide sensation in 1963 when that came out. And so.
Yeah, exactly. She was in the studio with João Gilberto and Stan Getz, and the producer wanted a verse of Girl from Ipanema sung in English, and she was the only one there that had a command of the English language, that was a singer, and she was an amateur, so she sang a verse and became famous.
That's wonderful, and you just definitely gave her justice on this wonderful, magnificent project. How did it make you feel? And you also, and we'll get into this a little more, you're singing not just only English on this project, Portuguese, right? Which is her language.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, it's actually more fun to sing Brazilian music in Portuguese because of the rhythmic elements. If you take Girl from Ipanema, at the end I sing it in English, but it's really hard to get all the percussive elements and the feel. That's why it's so funny, because my first language is English, and I'm not fluent in Portuguese. It's a goal of mine, but I know my Portuguese lyrics better than my English lyrics because I spend more time on it.
There's something about the, like, if you go to Brazil and you listen to people talking, there's a cadence to the language. It's almost like a percussive element, like a pandeiro, which is pandeiro is like a little almost looks like a tambourine that they play, and you hear this in the language that comes out when in the Portuguese, and it's really hard to get that same thing happening in English, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it definitely comes off very, very well, very eloquent. Your voice is light. Your voice flows freely. It is just pure. It's just really nice. It's just really powerful. And I really want to thank you for, really thank you for sharing this information and speaking with our fans today and getting us all excited about your new project. So it dropped July the 8th. How's it been going so far?
Going pretty well. The
Pretty well.
reviews are good, and and we're really just, the radio is just kind of starting to really pick up, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've
had great concerts.
Yeah.
We've had sold out concerts, and actually we're going to Punta Mita in November.
The Jazz Festival next fall.
Jazz Festival, and we've got some other nice fun things lined up here. Yeah.
It's been very encouraging because I think people, even if people don't know us, they kind of recognize the music. I mean, so many people know the Girl from Ipanema, and then there's some songs on here that are pretty well known and some songs that are more obscure. And so hopefully, I think we've had pretty good luck at concerts and people listening because they think, oh, I know that. Wow, that sounds interesting. Let me see what it's like, So that's been good.
Yeah. So now, if you ever come to Atlanta, please call us because we'll definitely be there to cover the concert if you're in Atlanta.
Absolutely. Maybe we'll do that now that we can.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. People are slowly getting out. We're excited about that. So, Tom, let's talk about a little bit more about the production, the producing of this project, your involvement, how you got started with it, and what were you thinking when you got into the producing aspect of it. And let's talk a little bit about the writing and some of the people you worked with on this as well.
Well, the production elements we seem to be drawn to a lot of the music of the 60s, the bossa nova movement in the 60s, and like what two of our favorite groups are Astrud
Brazil
and
66.
Brazil 66. Because there's just so much fun orchestration to things. So this album has, guitar, bass, drums, piano, like basic rhythm section, but then also there's woodwind writing on it. There's like 5 woodwinds on 9 of the songs. There's string sections, big string sections. There's brass sections. It's very orchestrally complex, but that's kind of part of the fun of that era. It was just so much fun. Like you just listen to those older songs and they're just such a great vibe. And so we were trying to just capture that vibe and change some things, make it our own, but not lose sight of what was so fun about that music. That's the goal.
Oh, that's really cool. That's great. Anyone else that you work with on the album? The two of you, of course, work together. Anybody else you'd like to mention?
Well, it was interesting how it started with Kevin Winard on drums and Mitchell Long on guitar. Those are the initial tracks so that's kind of the genesis.
I don't know, we're giving away all our secrets here, but it's so hard these days, like budget wise, because, you're not going to sell a million of these things. And so to have everybody together in a giant recording studio is almost impossible. So we kind of put it together piece by piece and added different people as we could. So yeah, started out with
just guitar and drums. It was a full day. It was a lot of fun. And just setting the ground, and then with Hussein Jiffrey and Trey Henry on bass. Hussein Jiffrey, Trey Henry, and our dear friend Abinho Cardoso, who is from Brazil, but lives in Boston, which is where I'm from.
Right.
So when we do gigs back there, we met him about 6-7 years ago. Anyway, they all did their tracks from their studio.
Okay.
Send them to us.
Yeah.
That's how. And then we did have Mike Vaccaro on all the woodwinds here.
Yeah.
And Tony Guerrero on trumpet.
Yeah.
He was home. He did it from his home studio.
Yeah.
And what about?
That's the challenge, is trying to get, because you've got to get things where you can, when you can, how you can, and trying to make it feel together and cohesive. And a lot of that is owed to those first 2 guys, Kevin Winard and Mitchell Long, because they made it feel so good, just guitar and bass and drums, that everything kind of flowed naturally. It inspired other parts of the writing and other players, and it just really grew. And it was really fun to hear it come alive, like from that little beginning.
Oh, yes, yes. And it's on, Tom, it's on your record label, A to Zink, correct?
Mm-hmm.
That's really good.
Yeah, put all our projects through that.
That's right.
Yeah, that's really good. So, and you're from Boston. Tom, where are you from?
Laguna.
Okay.
So,
I didn't get that far. She's the one that moved.
So let's talk about how, Ann, you first. How did you get started into singing? And I understand you're an educator too, and
yes. I was actually a dancer as a young girl. I have 5 brothers, and with a big family like that, you could do one thing. So I realized at a certain point that I was a good dancer, but not good enough to be a dancer. But I loved to sing, but I was kind of shy. I have cousins that were a family of singers, and they used to let me go sing with them. And so I think I was 15 when I started to do shows, and I just thought, I heard so many people sing on stage, growing up. I thought, they're not very good. And I thought, I'm going to make myself go do this. And then I ended up going to school to Anna Maria College for music therapy. My dad would not let me get a performance degree because he wanted me to have something real, that I could support myself on. Came to California, did my internship in music therapy, started going to Orange Coast College taking jazz classes, and I already had my bachelor's in jazz improv, got into the big band, Soon I was doing some club gigs. That's how I met Tom. And then soon after that, I was doing enough gigs and whatnot, and I went back to a school to get my master's degree because I didn't want to do therapy anymore. I wanted to be able to sing professionally and teach on a college level. And so that's what I do. And I was doing a lot of musical theater, believe it or not. I got into that here. I did it back east as well when I was growing up. And we were busy doing our own things, and sometimes we do a casual or a private party, you know, together. And we finally thought, all right, I'm just going to leave the theater for a second here. I'm sick of costume changes. What we can do. So our first album we put out a year later, and Tom ended up with a Grammy nomination. So we got a Grammy nominated album. So I haven't gone back. I love the music of musical theater, but you know, at a certain point, you just have to focus. You just say, I can do this, and I can do this, and I can do this. But what do I really want to focus on? There are only so many hours in the day, so you kind of have to figure out where you want to go.
That's true. That is so true. Hey, you're speaking to the choir right now. That's wonderful. And so, Tom, what about you? How did you get started into the business?
I've been playing since I was a little kid. My dad started me on accordion lessons when I was 4, and then just moved to piano. And I've kind of grown up just always studying, and I guess it's one of the, I don't know what, it can hold you back growing up in Southern California because you're already kind of in the industry. You don't have to go and introduce yourself to everybody. So I've sort of just been here the whole time, meeting more and more people, it's nice. But I see sometimes people come here from like the Midwest, and all of a sudden they're doing these amazing gigs because they've just had to go out and, but it's been good. I love the work I'm doing. And so I do everything from, I play piano, I orchestrate, I engineer, I record, I produce. These days you just got to wear a lot of hats to keep, everything going. So
That's
but
right.
I love it all. It's all good.
Yeah, that's right. So you've earned praise from the world-renowned guitarist Pat Metheny, one of my favorites. So for this project, and you've actually written lyrics for him, from what I understand, and you also write music. You compose music. You want to talk a little bit about that? I know Pat Metheny is very, very happy with you.
You know what? We really owe that to Joe DiRenzo, because we were doing a gig. Joe DiRenzo,
Okay.
I don't know, he was living in New York, and he was working for, I can't think.
Peter Max.
And he would see Pat on walks with his kids.
Okay.
And Joe, a year prior or 2 years prior, we were doing a gig, and he said, I should write lyrics to So May It Secretly Begin. Well, the next day he comes in with lyrics.
Yeah.
And that's how Joe is. And all I did on that one, honestly, was write the bridge. So when living in New York, fast forward a few years, he handed it. Did he go up to his place? I think he handed it on this. He handed the album to Pat Metheny, and Pat listened to it, and he was really happy with it, which is huge, because you're thinking, I never asked permission, and I just wrote lyrics to his song.
Yeah, we're going by the better to ask for forgiveness than permission. Unfortunately, he liked it, so we didn't have to ask for forgiveness. So that's nice.
Wow. So what do you want the listeners to get when you were making this music? What do you want the listeners to get from this great music that you put together in this latest project?
I want them to just escape. I want them to be taken away. And it came out in the summertime, and it was perfect, because it makes you just want to go to the beach.
Yes.
Anyway, I'm very, very happy with it. I'm happy with all our projects, but this one just, and it's so hard. Like when Tom gets mixing and all that, I step in, but after a while, it all just sounds the same. That's an art in itself. So I'm just very happy with the way it all turned out.
When the listeners listen to this album, I know it's going to relax them. I know it's going to motivate them, especially with right now, the world is going through so much, even though we're coming out of this pandemic slowly. Did you make this music during the pandemic? Or was it before? How did this come about? I'm just curious.
It was during.
We kind of started a little bit before. we
The idea came before.
yeah, Anne wrote lyrics. Some of the things that Astrud did, Astrud Gilberto, some of the songs you recognize, you really know, and some of those you don't recognize exactly, but they're cool. So we wanted to kind of bring those songs up as well. And one of the songs that she did was called
Beach Samba.
No, don't beat up my heart.
Oh, Nabato Corazao is the original
Yeah.
title.
Uh-huh.
Means don't beat up my heart.
Beat up my heart.
Uh-huh.
We heard Astrud scatting it, the melody.
There was no
Yeah.
lyrics.
I just wrote it. I said, I'm going to write lyrics about her career a little bit. And it's kind of fun because it talks about how in the 60s, she was a big hit, but then she kind of dies out. In the 70s, it was Walter Wonderly and Gil
Evans. Yeah, sorry.
Walt Wonderly. And I say Walt nor Gil will not let me take the fall. So I mean, it's just kind of, anything about her.
Yeah.
And it's a really groovy
song.
tune. Yeah, it's that's off the brand new.
Yeah, that was the
Brand new
previous record, but
Right.
when she was putting those lyrics together, she kind of got inspired. We started listening more of Astrud's stuff and going, yeah, we should really do a whole project of things that we love, that some of them are known and some aren't known, that we can, kind of maybe put our own spin a little bit on, and then you wrote lyrics on another song that she on
Right.
this record.
That she scattered to.
Oh, okay.
It's called Beach Samba. So
Here it is. Yeah, Beach Samba. Yes.
it's fun. I'm from Massachusetts, and growing up, one summer we go to the Cape, and one summer we go to Maine, and finally one year my mom said, well, do you prefer one of the other? Maine. So basically, I wrote the lyrics about the Footbridge Beach in Maine.
Nice.
It's just if you look at the lyrics, you'll see, it just takes you to the beach.
This album is a keepsake. It is.
And
It's a keepsake. Yes, I'm serious. I love good vocalists. Barbra Streisand. I mean, I love Celine Dion, Whitney Houston,
Yeah.
Anita Baker. I mean, I love. And you're right up there. You are amazing. You have a beautiful voice. Beautiful voice. Once Upon a Summertime. I like that one too. I told you I listened to the whole album.
Thank you.
Now, who wrote this one? Who wrote Once Upon a Summertime?
Michelle Legrand is one of the writers.
Johnny Mercer.
Johnny Mercer, like those two guys,
Okay.
unbelievable writers.
I was just talking to my mom today about this song because she was watching a musical and she said, "Oh, Ann, you just have to sing those songs," because she loves my more musical theater classical voice, right?
Yes.
So I said, "But Mom, you got to listen to the album because the last track, I couldn't get through it when I was first singing it because it's this love at the beginning. And I just lost my dad August 2nd, which is really sad.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So my parents were together for 66 years. I mean, they met when they were 19 and 20, and they were first loves and only loves. And so when I first heard the song, at the beginning, it's all about young love and beauty. I could not sing it. And this was when my dad was alive. And it was bizarre. But then when it comes back, it's gone. It didn't work out, but it's interesting now because now it has actually more meaning because my father's with the Lord,
I'm
So
sorry.
anyway, yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Wow.
It's hard. It's
But
hard.
his memories last forever, and you're helping to carry it on.
Exactly.
That's beautiful. My prayers are with you and your mother, your family. You're
Thank
all
you.
just hanging in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, I tell you, this is a great project. I look forward to really sharing it, with our audience. Now, let me ask you one more question. I love to talk about our youth and music in schools. And you were right in as an educator. It's very important. A lot of schools, unfortunately, music programs are not as strong as they used to be from when I grew up. I was in a band. Bands are still going on and music classes are still going on. But sometimes budgets and things like that happen, and a lot of music programs are being cut. Some of them are still going strong. But what's your message to really music education, the value of it at such an early age for children? Why do you think that's important, Kim?
Well, it introduces you to the arts. It's also a focus. It's growing up finding something that you have an affinity for, and you have an interest and a passion for, And I think that, I know that gets you through those teenage years when we're kind of, you know, going through puberty, and, you know, things are happening. And if we don't have a focus, if we don't have a discipline, I think it's so important. If we don't have a discipline, things can go south,
Yeah.
you know, or you can go into a depression.
Yeah.
And I think it's just, I teach at Orange Coast College. And so while it's a junior college, we have a great music program, but I'm dealing with people that aren't sure what to do. And, you know, and then I help direct them, whether it be music or another vocation that they choose. But, you know, if you can mentor anyone, you know, if you can mentor people and just help them find their strengths. But honestly, it's that discipline, it's that passion, it's finding something that is unique to you. And
Yeah.
I think that
And
that's
from a
very
more,
important.
from a different perspective, because I'm more of an engineer guy,
Mm-hmm.
it's funny, like, I think music has been sometimes in schools, or sometimes people think of it as entertainment, but it's three-dimensional math. You know, that you have meters, you have bars in 4, bars in 3. It's counting. It's math that you can see and you can hold and you can hear and you can touch. And so I think it's an important discipline also, just in terms of being able to relate to other things. Your math skills, your so many other skills are so much better when you can really understand what's happening in music, because you can see it and feel it and hear it, and, you know.
So I love music. I try to promote the value of music education to keep it going strong. Yes. So anything else you want to share about this album? I know it's playing all over the world. It is, and people are really, the radio stations are picking it up. It's streaming everywhere. People can purchase it everywhere. And I highly recommend that the Smooth Jazz Times fans download this album. You would definitely enjoy it. So anything else you would like to share about this great project?
Yeah, just have fun listening to it, and you know, and try to capture some. There's so many different things about it from that era that are just so much fun, and so that you hear some of those things still, and some things you don't. But you know, just enjoy the ride.
Right.
Yes, indeed. So what's next for the two of you in the musical space? What's next?
Well, we're still working with this, and we want to put another project together where we're writing more songs ourselves, and also working, like the Pat Metheny song that we did. We want to do some more of that, writing to classics, writing lyrics that.
Oh, yeah. One of the things we've done on all the albums is taken an instrumental, or this one was different because she scattered to beach samba, taking an instrumental of a great composer like Pat Metheny, and I write lyrics to it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's great. Well, I am so honored to have met you both, and thank you so much for your time speaking with Smooth Jazz Times today.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, indeed. And so where can we keep in touch with you, on social media or your website?
Both.
Yeah.
I'm on Facebook.
And AnnWalsh.com, Ann with an E, Walsh.com.
Okay, very good.
Facebook, I've got a business page and a personal page, so that's just Ann Walsh Music.
Yeah, and all of our songs are in Apple Music, under her name. So, yeah.
Good. And I'll also insert it into this YouTube in my YouTube description too, so the fans can also get it there. So thank you so much. That's Ann Walsh and Tom Zink for the Astrud project. It dropped on July the 8th, and it's going strong, and we're going to keep it going stronger. Thank you so very much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.